It's interesting because you were joking around earlier about how you're sorry not being funny right now on this podcast. You're supposed to, and that's what's interesting about that is you have some pretty serious stuff that you do on your podcast. You have some, you kind of sometimes you open up about stuff and how you're feeling, and maybe it's not feeling that good. And again, I think that people tune into that because look, man, if I guess you could try and like fake being funny or fake being in a good mood, but I don't think you can really fake it 100% where people really believe it. And I think it's better that you just be who you are. And if you've got something, if you feel like freaking depressed or whatever, then you're like, hey, this is what I feel like right now. And it makes people comfortable that there's someone like you who's usually funny and seems to have a pretty good life, and all of a sudden they're like, hey man, this is freaking hard right now for whatever reason, whatever that reason might be. And I think when people just knowing that someone else is kind of like there with them, it's reassuring.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting about this is you've been saying this whole time, that you have a hard time with relationships and long term and all this. But how long have you been doing your podcast for?
For maybe 5 years.
So 5 years. And this is the thing about podcasts. And I have the same thing where I meet people that listen to podcasts and they feel like we have a relationship.
Yeah.
And they're right.
Right.
Because my podcast is 3, 4, 5 hours long.
Jesus
I don't
Christ,
freaking
dude.
sit down.
Now I see what happened to you. Yeah, you said things probably years ago, and there's just not much in there. I bet if we tickle you, we'll get them out, you creep.
How often do you sit down and talk to anyone for 3 hours or 2 hours?
Oh, I walked out of Joe Rogan, and I remember telling him, I said, hey, that's the longest conversation I've ever had in my life with anybody, especially with a man. Like I didn't have any male figure. I had, there was no male figures in my neighborhood. One guy shot up a Ready-Med 24-hour clinic, and that was like the toughest dude we knew, and he was on pills, so he wasn't even really doing it out of his own heart. So, we didn't have a lot of, so I think, yes, I've found more probably male influences through podcasting than anywhere else in my life, really, which is kind of interesting. And sometimes, I don't know, podcasting is powerful. And here's one thing that's neat too, Jocko, is I mostly meet people who I would like to meet anyway. Mm-hmm. It's like the guy that came up to me this morning, I would like to meet him some people, it's like I did some reality television when I was younger, for a couple years on TV, and I would meet people that I didn't know, they didn't know anything about me. It's just people that see you. And that was just, there was nothing to it that meant anything really. So to meet people where they know you somewhat, mm-hmm. and so you would have some common ground, it's really nice almost. That's one thing that's interesting, man. I feel like God has given me this weird way where it's like he always is trying to show me that people care about me, because I think for so long I didn't feel like anybody did, when I was real, real young. And I'm not complaining, I'm not complaining about it. I don't need any self-pity. I don't need anything like that. But I do think it's fascinating how, he'll send people in every now and then somebody say something nice, just something. It's like, it's this slow healing of this space inside of me that has been uncomfortable for a long time, and so there's powerful stuff like that going on, so, and sometimes I can do that for other people. I know a friend of mine, he's in the military. I think his dad had some, well, I probably shouldn't talk about it. I might be talking out of shop, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm enjoying being alive these days a lot more because I want to see what else can unfold, And I don't know if I always felt like that as a kid. I felt like more like every day was a battle, Whereas now I'm like, man, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and I can be a part of it, whether it's for me or somebody else, if I can just do my best to take care of myself and keep myself. I don't even have to win every day, but dude, if I can just show up and get a strong tie, dog, you know what I'm saying? If I can even fucking tip a judge, fam, you know what I'm saying, dog? And pull out that dirty W, dog, you know? Then it's possible. And I wish Darren Till wouldn't have lost, honestly. No homo, bro.